Apologies. Our first panel is already here. So we were just thinking of bumping you guys down a bit. But good afternoon and thank you for coming back so very quickly. We're 5 minutes ahead. So let's very quickly welcome on stage for a panel discussion on the Destination Office, Reimagining the Workspace for Culture, Collaboration and Choice, with Ms. Priya Thanawalla, Director of Global Council of Global Business Services, with Ms. Ruchi Challu, Senior VP at BHIVE Group.
She'll just come.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Renu Nair, CEO and founder of Mikro, Grafeio Services Private Limited, and Mr. Abhijith Shashidhar, co-founder and director of Clayworks. No, yeah, they're just walking down.
For being so patient with us, but extremely sorry about. But I think we will be starting on time. 2:30 was the given time to us. It's 2:27. So 2:30. Yeah.
No, it's 2:30.
It's 2:30. Okay. So we're just waiting for another panelist. We have two of our distinguished panelists here. I'm waiting for Ruchi. Very good afternoon, and I think I carry a larger responsibility that it must be like brewing a hot pot here so that post-lunch to be alert and awake. I have a unique challenge. So I'm not sure about I think the industry, if you're all from largely representing the global GCCs and not from the workspace domain, we here are more from the creating the workspace. So each one is an architect in construction, into build farm, into, that is a space. Yes, we have Ruchi also with us. I think it was the confusion on where we had to get into the hall. Thanks, Ruchi. Come in. So our panel is going to be more on the destination office. Like we've seen a lot of design revolution that has taken place post the pandemic, and we've seen how spaces from a call center, BPO, and things has moved on also. And we've been talking, we'll now touch upon reimagining the workspace, what the space will look like in the future, especially in collaboration with, like we're talking about culture and your choice, okay? So, yeah, today's workspace, we've seen a lot of shift. Originally, it was seat-based, functional, which is today, it is experience-led. You're talking about more an end-of-journey experience that you want to give your employees, right? So I'm joined by three leaders, and it's a very powerful intersection, I must say. We have Ruchi Challu. She represents people strategy, organization change, sustainability. She's from BHIVE. We have Abhijith Shashidhar from Clayworks, co-founder, director, more oriented towards sustainable workspace and design. And we have Renu Nair. He is from Mikro, Grafeio, the CEO, and a very unique concept of distributed workspace. And I think this will be of a great interest for you all also to learn how they bring in people strategy, distributed workspace, sustainability, and human-centric design to engage your employees and creating that workspace for them, the future of the workspace, right? So with this, I will move on to the panelists to take to introduce yourself and maybe what is that, how each one of you would define a destination office.
Hi, so thank you, Priya, for that quick context. And well, my name is Ruchi, and I actually head people and culture for BHIVE Group. We are a commercial real estate organization, and my job is largely to get the organization ready for an IPO. We're looking at an IPO. We are also sort of going through a lot of change management in terms of how we were, operating from a people standpoint and how we now want to be operating. So sitting in a lot of systems and processes is the mandate for my team and myself. I bring along 18 plus years of experience, have straddled across industries and businesses, been on the people strategy side in a consulting environment, also worked in the social impact sector, started out in the media business. So I think what holds true or common across the organizations and sectors that I've worked in is the very fast-paced nature and innovative models that a lot of the organizations I have worked in. So I'm going to take a pause here and let my fellow panelists take over.
Hi, good afternoon. Is this? Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Priya, for that. So we are Clayworks. We are a 8-year-old company based out of Bangalore. We have a presence only in Bangalore. We provide flexible workspaces. We started out as a neighborhood workspace. Our mission is to be the most, by choice, we want to be the best workspace in the neighborhood. And our mission is to enrich work. So our spaces are not just meant for work, but how can we enrich work of our occupiers, of our users? So we started with 84 seats in JP Nagar, which is a neighborhood in South Bangalore. Today we are upwards of about 17,000 seats in 17 locations in Bangalore. The idea has been, is like a workspace that I and you can work and feel comfortable with. End of the day, we want to focus, there's an intersection of functionality and design. It has to match together. Because most of the spaces are used by Indians, so why should we borrow something from the West which will not work here? So very vernacular in our designs, in our material usage, and the idea is to just make sure that everyone is happy who's working there, and they're motivated to come back to office every day. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Abhijith, and thank you, Ruchi. So this is a great opportunity that I've seen to talk about, specifically about workspace and workforce and workplace design, combining both. So I'm from managed workspace business. Company is called Mikro, Grafeio. So we started this company almost 5 years back, post-pandemic, where we thought when the workforce had moved back home, most of the workforce, and we wanted to bring in employment opportunities closer to home. And we thought the workforce would move back to the emerging cities, and we wanted to set up more workspaces where these talent are from, rather than bringing the talent back to the metros. So long story short, as we speak 5 years later, we have set up almost 50 offices across 23 different cities, and most of them in emerging cities, as we call, or tier 2 and 3 cities. So the point is, there's a lot of change happening in the entire way workforce is being had. A lot of companies are moving into distributed workspace rather than having a large head office structure with thousands of employees. There's a lot of companies moving into distributed workspace where smaller teams work from different locations. And our effort has been to provide world-class workspaces where these people can be accommodated.
Maybe on the later part of the discussion, I would want you to throw some light on the names of the cities.
Yeah.
So the audience also can resonate with that. But I want to now circle back to Ruchi. And since you spoke about organizational change and the people strategy, right? So what management principles, like change management principles, do you think actually help people embrace workspace transformation? Like, what is that you feel? Or instead of resisting, they embrace?
So I think it's contextual, largely. What we look at, when we are, implementing any kind of change is what is the audience? Who are we addressing? And what is it going to make it easier for them to understand, assimilate, and then sort of adopt that? So I think that whatever the change may be, it could be a tech implementation, it could be org restructuring, it could be anything. I think the fundamental is who's the audience? How do you simplify it for that person or that set of people? And then what can really ease the adoption in terms of really showing them the benefits. And
if you be able to quote an example, like the kind of the age group.
Absolutely. So in this business, in this industry, and if I have to take BHIVE example, our average, the average age of the workforce is about 28, 29. So this is a very young workforce. And most of the other organizations, I would assume, and of course my fellow panelists can validate that, would also have largely a young generation to manage. And what works with them is flexibility of various types. So I think what we have done at BHIVE is how can I, whether it is through the design, whether of the office space, or through the kind of initiatives that we have, could be in form of events, what kind of experience am I creating for that younger workforce? And how am I really creating flex for this particular workforce? And that would, the touch points would be various. It could be in terms of, hybrid work opportunity. And we actually do that for our clients as well in terms of giving them the option to work from anywhere. And therefore, you could be sitting in a campus one day, and another day you could be sitting in a smaller center based on what you really, where you have your meetings, what you really want to do,
So it's not the traditional, like again, where we said we have evolved from just a functional workspace into a very experience-led, when I'm saying that. So
absolutely.
Space, yeah. So I think, Abhijith, we're totally on a design statement, right? I want to know, like, what makes a workspace truly human-centric and conducive, especially for the well-being? Because you did mention, when you say sustainability, you're also giving an experience to them of a home away from home kind of, right? An environment that you're creating. And I think creating unique spaces, no space is so repetitive, and making it more box. So if you can throw some light on that.
Yeah. So at Clayworks, we have a thing like no two Clayworks can look alike.
Okay.
Just like humans, every building has its own character, and we embrace that. When we talk about sustainability, is not just the certifications, and it's not just the capex. That is the fit outs and what we are talking about. It's also the operational abilities, right? Like since our inception, we don't use aerosols in the restrooms. We don't have those sprays. We use lemongrass, diffusers. So simple things like that, because these aerosols are not healthy. And again, those cans are just going to go into the land dump, right? So how is that possible? And most of our workspaces, we don't have carpets except the meeting or your workstation area. So we have hard flooring, so which for an Indian environment, it's very important, right? So indoor air pollution is much more harmful than the outdoor. What we have as per WHO, our indoor air pollution in our Indian offices is 10 times more. Simple things like not just with the construction or the dust that people bring in, poorly managed HVAC systems and things like that can also contribute to it. And also when we talk about material and design, right? So there is a different language of design that happened pre-pandemic and post-pandemic.
Right.
Today, offices are not just places for you to come and work, but
right.
places for you to come and collaborate, right? So your density of meeting rooms have gone up.
Yeah.
So you have people coming and huddling in offices and not doing their work, because as an individual contributor, they don't need to come to office.
Yeah.
You know, they can work in different locations. So
That's
when they're huddling here, so what is the different methods in which they can huddle? They can come up with.
So the
ideas.
ratio of collaborative spaces is more, and closed rooms, cabins,
Correct.
not for individuals' use, but again, like meeting rooms, 3-seater, 2-seater, that's
Correct.
on a high. Yeah.
Yeah. So pre-pandemic, say for every 120 seats, 100 to 120 seats, you had a meeting room of anywhere from 4 to 6 seaters.
Right.
So today it's about 3 for every 120 seats. The number of seats have come down.
Right.
So with hybrid working, so an organization with say a 500 member team need not take a 500 seater
500
office.
seats, yeah.
So
yeah.
it can be just 50% of it or 40% of it, but have more meeting rooms.
Yeah.
And your offices are going to be more experiential. What it could be. They can come for office to have a nice meal and chat with their team and do that work.
Yeah.
And it'll not be surprising that people might come to office only for 3 to 4 hours in the next coming time. And but that 3 to 4 hours will be more effective and efficient.
Right. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I think from the queue of human-centric design, and you were talking about Bangalore City, I would move to Ranchu on how you've taken it to the Tier 2, Tier 3 city, especially that you're talking about distributed workspace, right? A model which is now transforming how companies hire and operate. And how it's taking work closer to home, unlocking the talent. I think attrition is something that you've really gained over. That's something. So how can you just throw some light? And also empowering these Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. By coming in there, what has been the environmental change, as in the ecosystem? Yeah.
Great question, Priya. So when we started this, and before that, I've come from an HR background, right? I worked in HR for almost 25 plus years across the globe, and ended up starting a real estate business. And that's what people ask me, right? How come HR came and started a real estate business? I said, no, I'm not building real estate, I'm building workspaces, which is close to our heart. And I've been working with workforce for a long time, and we build workspaces.
Right.
But post-pandemic, one of the companies that I used to work with, they had, which was a bank, by the way, had workforce which had moved to almost 131 different cities when they were forced to work from home. And a lot of myths about working from home and working remotely had broken at that time. So hiring again, going to those places. Now here, Tier 2 and 3, when we're talking about destination offices in Tier 2 and 3 city, one of the biggest myths is, when you say Tier 2 and 3, you think about Tier 2 and 3 quality.
Yeah.
It is no more that. You will find world-class grade A offices, the best talent pool, and the best environment to work from. And global companies operating out of these places, right? So it's no more about, people associating Tier 2 with that, the quality of
There's
it.
no compromise on quality.
No compromise on quality.
Yeah, but
right?
what is the gain?
Yeah. So when we unlock Tier 2, it's about access to the talent pool as well.
Yeah.
Traditionally, what companies have been doing is going to these cities and hiring people from there and bringing them to the metros.
Yeah.
For example, one of the companies that we set up for, the company that had almost 40% attrition in Mumbai and Hyderabad, and they were trying to see how these problems can be solved. We set up an office for them in a city called Tirunelveli.
Okay.
Right? And we obviously went through the entire process of setting up the infrastructure, hiring people for them, 80% freshers and 20% laterals.
Wow.
Why Tirunelveli? Because there were around 33 plus engineering colleges in that place. And these companies used to go there, hire them from there, and bring them to Bombay and Hyderabad. Here, we're taking the opportunity to closer to their homes. We managed the HR and admin for 2 years, and for post 2 years, the attrition was sub 5%.
Wow. That's
So these people preferred staying closer to their homes, hometowns, eating home food, paying no rent almost,
yeah.
and saving this entire thing. And last question that you asked about, they investing in their hometowns. And what's happening there? The entire local economy is growing, right? The service sector is growing. The local, coffee shops, the saloons, the construction industry, the entire ecosystem is growing.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not just about saving cost in one place, saving better attrition, but you're actually doing, service to the local community as well. Right? There's a lot of social impact that is happening. The real impact is happening on the ground. Right? So what you're doing in that process is you are developing a more loyal employee base. That loyal employee base is where people are no more about jumping jobs frequently because their current salary is not enough to pay their salaries, and there is less, the metro fatigue,
Yeah.
right? So these are all the benefits.
Even
So
the
it's not just
travel.
about cost or attrition.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of,
Yes.
things around it which
Even when we
actually
say
makes-
metros,
Yeah.
the transit time each
Yeah.
one takes to travel to their destination office,
yeah.
actually by taking it to the distributed office space, I
Right.
think even that it's like to their well-being.
Yeah, and about what Ruchi was mentioning, right? About the younger crowd, and they have their choices now. It's
Yeah.
no more about what the corporates are demanding. They have their demands, right? Accessibility is a big thing, and a lot of companies are forcing people to come back to work, but then they say that, hey, I'm not going to travel 2 hours to work. If you have offices that are close to hometowns, or where the preferred locations for these people, we're happy to work from there.
Wow, that's great. So, Ruchi, when we talk about, maybe this is a little bit of a paradigm shift, I would say, distributed office itself, would you see some kind of a challenge here as a people strategy, as an organizational change? It can be upstream or it can be downstream, but do you see something, this is coming up or anything like that?
Challenge in what way?
No, in terms of, as a centralized organization, like if you have to manage it, let me put it like this, you said that you'll have to train, there's a change management, right, that is coming in. They are investing a lot in the training of the people. Of course, it has to be intense training. We are not compromising on quality, right? But metro versus tier 2, tier 3 would be somewhere still, yeah. You don't have to agree for everything that Ranchu said. So
No, I
we like a
think-
little bit of, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you raised a very interesting point. And in fact, because I had also the benefit of working with an organization prior to BHIVE, where we did have operations in places like Tirunelveli and Madurai, but a very different sector. It was
Okay.
manufacturing. I think in my observation, talent exists everywhere.
Yeah.
I think what really, helps the cause is education. Certain states obviously have been conducive, So Tamil Nadu over the years
Yeah.
has invested in that, and therefore, and I'm also of the opinion that Karnataka as well, a lot of engineering colleges spread across, and
Yeah.
In general, Karnataka has had hubs of education. So I think it links back to the education systems and, therefore the capability and the caliber of people. And then how do we really kind of bring them up to the level of I would say, finesse that one sees in a tier 1 or a metro. So it's really then about the behavioral skills part of it, and not the technical competence.
Right.
So yeah, we invest then in the training, and large companies have established that training is a high leverage activity. It should not be seen as a cost, but actually as an investment. And if we take that systematically, we do reap benefits in a very, very tangible way. And I have seen that to be the case even at BHIVE. We've really kind of focused on training our frontline staff, whether it's semi-skilled, blue-collared workforce, and of course the white-collared as well. Now, we don't have presence in Tier 2, but obviously when we hire semi-skilled people, we have similar challenges that from a behavioral standpoint might be the case in Tier 2, Tier 3.
Sure. Just to drag this further, at BHIVE, we were also talking about startups, the new startups that's coming, and what opportunities you would rather how can you support the scale up? We're talking about
Yeah, I think all of us, all companies like ours are actually definitely supporting the agenda of creating entrepreneurs by way of making it easy for people to set up shop without having to worry about the infrastructure, right? And giving it to them at a very competitive price point. Also enabling them to interact with other entrepreneurs, investors, VCs, etc., through events and through meetups that that can orchestrate a lot of those conversations with them.
Networking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It is going beyond what is just.
Oh,
a
absolutely,
workspace.
absolutely.
Just,
I don't think it's
limited
just an
to
office.
just
I think
workspace.
it's much more than that. It's creating platform to really elevate lifestyle for all our clients and all our partners.
Yeah, sure. So I would to Abhijith, this is on the environmental issue. Like we just spoke about, there are a lot of offices coming in. There's a good growth ahead and lined up. How do we sensitize, or what would be the points that we need to focus, at least at a larger level, on the environmental, towards the embodied carbons, or what is the sustainable goal that you would say should be set up? So as a minimum prerequisite with so much that's happening.
Sure, Priya. Just before I answer this, I just wanted to understand from the audience, how many of you have offices in a co-working space or a flexible office space? And how many of you have used flexible office in the past? Okay. Superb. So I kind of have a sense of it.
Yeah.
So what you mentioned about embodied carbon, right? It's quite new to India, and it's widely used in the West. Today, if I have to buy a chair, there is an embodied carbon rating that is there in the West. Today, I know that what is my carbon footprint to do this office.
Right.
Typically, Priya, if I have to do an office today, right, on an average, 75 kg per square feet is the carbon that gets consumed to make an office, right? 75 kgs of carbon emission goes into to do this. And the most sustainable thing to do is not to build at all, right? That's the most sustainable thing, yeah. So always, as Indians, we are very good at, reusing materials. It could be furnitures at home, or it could be anything. It's become like an heirloom sort of a thing, right?
We salvage.
So we all, there's nothing like, fast fashion, fast furnitures and all. It's like you make the furniture which will last for
forever.
Generations.
Yeah.
So what I really see is, and definitely this table chairs and all those things, except the chairs, innovations that have happened, tables have remained as such. So one of the thing that we should, all of us should do, whether with the workspace, any workspace, companies, or even offices, is how we can upcycle material.
Yeah.
The circular economy of, reutilizing it, and how we can, it could be a simple couch like this, instead of changing it after 3 years, you can change its upholstery and reuse it. Right?
Yeah.
The frame would remain as it is. So that's one of the things, instead of focusing on just an IGBC certifications, most of our offices are IGBC certified, but we can look around. There are so many good materials that are locally available. Like, for example, we have done offices with carbon negative materials, like
Okay.
tabletops made out of wheat stubble, which gets burnt. So there's a company called Structure which makes boards from wheat stubble. They buy it from farmers, they make it into wheat stubble. We have used tabletops on that. We've used Tetra Paks, compressed Tetra Paks as partitions. There are companies. So one interesting thing is there's a huge set of entrepreneurs who are doing a lot of sustainable construction materials in India. And it's as you are also a designer, it's very important that how the design community makes use of
Embrace
this.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
embraces this. So because we have to, come out of the same gypsum, glass,
Yeah.
carpets and things like that. We've used jute carpets, right? Much more healthy, easy to maintain, and it is a fire retardant as well,
Yeah.
to a certain extent. So it could be paints. You are getting beautiful organic paints and things like that. So when we look around, these are inspirations. We should not. I feel we should not just chase certification, but make offices where we are conscious of what we are using and who, because 8 to 9 hours you and your team are going to be spending there. Most part of your active day is spent in office. So how healthy can it be?
Right.
Simple things like how many offices you can open a window. At least in a Bangalore city like Bangalore, you can open a window and put on your ceiling fan and cut on your air conditioning as such. So having beautiful balconies and all those things where those can be a nice breakout
You're not
space.
really dependent on a conditioned environment you bring in, and I think that goes directly even into the OPEX cost.
Yes.
Where in any space the capex is definitely fixed, but you see so much of energy being saved.
Absolutely. See,
And it adds to the well component also.
True.
Right.
Yeah. What we talk about employee health and safety. These are the things that we can look at. And one more thing that I find it surprising with occupiers and also a conscious call that we have taken is we don't take buildings which has a lot of glass facade. So it's as an environment like India, you are getting into a glass building,
It's a microwave.
capturing heat and spending 60% of your electricity cost in throwing that heat outside your building.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. At least I'm saying definitely there should be light. Your offices should be well lit, because a well lit office with proper biophilia within the office increases. There's a Harvard study which says it increases your productivity by 12%. Right. So how you have to be very conscious, on design. And most of what I find it as surprise is some of the occupiers, they spend 7 to 10 days on design and spend 60 to 90 days on construction. Yeah. So in 7 days, how, it cannot be a cookie cutter. No, you're just, I don't even think so many architects visit the site and they would have rolled out the design, right? So at least a 30 to 40 days is much needed once you have a design brief to come up with the right design based on that space, and then do your execution.
So see, again, from the design realm, I will also share. Most of the time we say it's a top-down approach here. If the client puts up this as a sustainable, so I think it goes to even the audience who's sitting and the clients insist upon having an environment which is not so, artificially built around, but taking a bit of nature, and it's a conscious call. We're happy to serve. But the good news is there is solutions. What you're saying is we've done that, we've been there, and yes, when we started off 2 decades ago into completely glass buildings and boxing up, we were following a trend, which we were doing it. But now I think over the time we've realized when we become so environmentally conscious too, and things like a commitment to the UN for the ESG, and we have our own sense of responsibility. In fact, today, sustainability is not just certification, it is a responsibility we all take at all levels to ensure that we capture.
Absolutely.
And I think the cues that you gave, the jute carpets or Indian makes, and of course, to encourage even make in India, reduce your transportation time, no more so much of large imports. It's a great thing, except for a few technological stuff. Yeah.
I had one more point to make. So when we talk about ESG compliance, like 27% of Indian companies are ESG compliant as we speak today. And what you see is this is going to become a norm. Like next 5-6 years, you will have at least the listed companies to talk about ESG compliance, and they have to start doing that. And there will be definitely a lot of focus on employee health in workspaces.
Yeah.
That would definitely be there. In fact, what I also wanted to mention is we should do offices which suits the localization, like
The climatological condition.
We have requirements from certain occupiers which says, you know what, we have a global standard of office design, right? And what I want my New York office to be here, right? So come on, there is a lot of difference in what, why not the food?
Yeah.
They don't want the
New York food to be served
every day here, but your office is going to be there, and it's
that's again a culture conflict almost.
Yeah.
Just like food.
Correct. I think one of the companies which did really well was Netflix. They were in 2 countries, and in a matter of 12 months they expanded to 120 countries. So they have something called as a global culture index, so which talks about each country, how important it is. Like say for example, the simple thing like lunch in India, in that office is very important. It kind of builds the team.
Yes.
You share food, you have a chat and all. But in the US or in the UK, it is more of a very functional thing.
Yes.
So a lot of people are having desk lunch and things like that. So design in your office is definitely an investment, and not an operational expenditure.
Right.
To build the team. Yeah.
Good. Moving there and talk about even having these be decentralizing metros. It was one of the, I think, something that across India we are trying to strive is the metros is decentralize them. Today itself, so many people have traveled so far and they have come here, right? There are a couple of myths that you've broken with this Tier 2 and the Tier 3 cities. Will you be able to share some case study, like some offers globally who've asked you, and have you able to actually convince them from moving out of a metro to a setup? Like, was it a client ask for a Tier 2, Tier 3, or a client approached you for a metro and then you moved to a Tier 3? You recommended and it was a welcome idea.
It both ways, right? There are times when we've started the discussions post the decision that they may have to look at distributed workspace. But there's been, in the beginning, when we started, it was very difficult to convince companies, and especially large corporates themselves, to have a distributed workspace and what are the benefits, etc. Because they were just waiting for the workforce to get back post-pandemic, and then and at that point in time, most of them had large workspaces in the metros which were lying empty, right? And they just want to make sure that the workforce get back and they start using. And they had long contracts, maybe for 5 years and 9 years, which they couldn't let go.
Yeah.
So they couldn't think of having, distributed workspace in the rest of the places as well and adding to their cost, right? It was not easy. But as and when things, moved and the contracts got over, people also started getting smarter and thought, hey, one is hybrid workspace, where if you have 1,000 employees, they may think about 300 to 400 seater offices, right? So smaller workforce, not just distributed workspace, but also hybrid, work 2 days a week and things like that, so that reduces commute. But when they have offices in different cities, different technologies also have to evolve to make sure that it all works as the same office. But then that helps them tick some of the boxes on their ESG, challenges as well. Reducing carbon footprint. Obviously, travel big time. I mean, imagine 1,000 people traveling for 2 hours each, right? Versus people working from closer to home. And while people tasted working closer to home, they also started demanding that. So now, accessibility, the comfort are all not just perks.
Yeah.
It's a demand that people have. So to answer your question, a specific example, there was a company that we were talking about, almost 2,000-seater office that we were looking at in Chennai, which eventually, post a few discussions, they said that, hey, we could look at another city, but not an emerging city, more of an emerged city. But in the long run, we broke that down into 3 different cities.
Okay.
And we've already completed 800 people being based in Coimbatore,
Okay.
and 200 moved to Mangalore.
So from 2,000 in Chennai, you
Yeah.
broke it into 800 in
8,000 already set up and hired.
Yeah.
Now we are looking at the rest of the spaces
Mangalore.
that,
So that's so
200 in
distance,
Mangalore.
but yeah, okay.
200 in Mangalore. Now the rest are being discussed as to which are the other cities. We are considering Madurai. We're considering Indore as
Yeah.
a market. So what we do is, Priya, we try to work with the companies right from the decision-making process itself, right? And one is deciding to move to an emerging city. 2 is where to go, right? And that has a lot of factors. It's not just about a real estate game. In a metro, it's just okay, fine, you find the right place and then you build the office. But when it comes to a tier 2 and 3 and distributed workspace, it depends on your talent availability, what kind of talent you want, right? What kind of, if it's manufacturing or if it's BPO, if
Yeah.
it is in different industries.
It's driven by the service.
It's driven
of the
by
client.
the service and the products. And then, how much do you want to scale?
Right.
And we would always recommend against scaling all of or building big offices in one particular city. And that's how the whole distributed workspace model happens, right? So for example, I know large corporates, couple of large corporates, in our discussions where we've said, hey, they had set up one office in Bhubaneswar for 5,000 people and then another office in Cochin for 5,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Bhubaneswar failed and Cochin was a success and they're hiring more people.
Okay.
So in Bhubaneswar, they were able to hire around 1,500 people and they were not able to scale beyond that. But Cochin, they were able to. So there are a lot of factors that go into all these things, right?
There's
You
a
can't
lot
just
of-
decide that, hey, government is giving me free land, so I'm going to go set up 5,000 people there. That's not how it works
So
when
these
it
are
comes
the
to...
challenges of tier 2 and 3
Absolutely,
city, which,
absolutely.
Yeah, got that.
So it depends on your talent pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the social and physical infrastructure, which is already there and evolving.
Right.
Accessibility to the schools and colleges and all those things, right? And the lifestyles, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you hire younger, crowd, I mean, they need
Yeah.
to see that they have access to at least cities when you're setting up in Mysore, Bangalore is closer and things like
Right.
that, right? So a lot of factors go into it. So we work with companies right from the decision-making process to where to go first,
Right.
how much to scale, and instead of scaling in one place, why it should be distributed so that it can be easier to hire those people in one single place. The reason I was saying about Cochin and Bhubaneswar, right? Cochin has now the ability to hire people, and between Cochin and Coimbatore, there are around 150,000 engineering students that come out every year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's basically most of them used to move to a Bangalore or Hyderabad or a Chennai because the opportunities were not there. Now the opportunities are moving to them.
To their city.
Almost 60% of them are willing to stay back.
Right.
But is that good enough to set up a 5,000-seater office? No, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at a 200 or 300-seater office, fine. But no. So place should be able to attract people from outside.
Right.
Malayali from, who's from Bangalore is okay to go back to a Cochin and work now,
Right.
But that was not the case with Bhubaneswar till some time back,
Absolutely.
right?
But I think with all the support in the policy and everything,
Now-
definitely. Now Bhubaneswar is coming
Bhubaneswar
into-
has become the place.
The place,
right?
yes.
They are now attracting, and now we are very confident we can go back to
Yeah,
5,000-seater there,
yeah,
right?
brilliant.
But what this also means is that the cities are emerging and the governments are also investing big in these places
Yeah.
where it gets to the next stage where a Cochin or a Bhubaneswar is able to attract people from other states to come and work there.
Yeah.
That's when you become a 5,000 to a 10,000-seater office
Yeah.
in those places.
Got
right?
it. You
So
make
we-
that also a choice city. for
That's
you.
also a choice city.
Great.
Yeah.
I would like to open it to the audience. Any questions? Any questions for the panelists? Okay. So I think, Yeah, somebody.
I was simply making an observation that distributed offices will also help in decongesting the metros, which is such a big issue, whether you talk about Bangalore, NCR. I think the other part around sustainable, you just spoke about glasses. I come from NCR. So all of these buildings, I don't know, there's something around policy making as well. You should not allow buildings to be passed. It's such a contradiction. Summers, you have all the heat coming in. In the winters, you are then using the heaters on. So where is sustainability?
Yeah, I think I totally understand your plight. So here the policy, we talk about how much FAR, or how much you can build in terms of your floor and things like that. No one talks about another very important pollution is called light pollution, right? So people staying in the vicinity of a highly facade building, right? Your heat that it reflects because all these are performance glasses. You have 70% of heat getting reflected. So where does it reflect? It reflects to the neighborhood, to the community around there. Those becomes your hot zones and hot pockets where it becomes so hard. I've seen this happening in Bangalore itself, in so many localities. So I think definitely the government also has to come up with how much area that you could do. Definitely. And not only policies, see, it's also as an occupier what you demand, right? So recently we are doing office for a Bangalore-based developer called Total Environment in their commercial building. It hardly has any glass. It has beautiful balconies in each and every floor, and it has good brick facade. So you don't need to paint the facade or maintain any of those things. The rains will take care of it. So these are not new to India. It's just that we are copying the wrong things from the West. Yeah, I think that's important. And second thing, he was mentioning about distributed workspaces, where we started as neighborhood workspaces, right? So you are working for 8 hours at your office, but you're spending 3 hours in travel to and fro. So where is your balance? And by the time you reach your office, you're fatigued. So you're one of the reasons a lot of people quit any companies is also the travel or the commute fatigue that goes. For the first few months, there is that, I'm super excited to go to office and things like that. But continuously, it's not a nice thing to do. So apart from the tier 2, tier 3 cities, within the cities, your offices can be made into satellites and other things. So to huddle, you can meet in one office, and to work, you can have, places in co-working spaces and other forms of, which we call as the third place, to work out of. So the same 1.5, 2 hours is saved, either can be put into the company or they can have a better life. Not on the road, for sure.
Yeah. So just on that point on decongestion and the government policies that we have made. So many governments are working a lot on that, but Karnataka government especially is doing a lot around it. I would say the Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, KEDM, through their Beyond Bengaluru mission is doing a fantastic job around this, right? So we know this closely because we 2 years back organized a roadshow across the US along with the KEDM delegation to invite companies to invest in Mangalore, Mysore, Dharwad, Hubli belt rather than not in Bangalore. And this is purely with decongestion, reducing carbon footprint and all those things and developing those things. But when they do this, not just in inviting companies or incentivizing them to set up, but also in the back end, they're working a lot on improving the local economies there and ecosystems there, right? They've invested big in all these cities to make sure that there is an environment which is ready for these companies to, come and set up, right from talent to social infrastructure, physical infrastructure, everywhere. So there's a lot of work going in that direction as well. right? So that's how they're developing this place. So it's amazing work done by the governments. Even, post this, we could see the UP government and Tamil Nadu, all of them coming up with beautiful policies that actually helps companies to set up in, outside of these metros.
Yeah, just adding to this, actually, KDIM, of course, is doing significant work. There is also KSDC, which is Karnataka Skill Development Corporation. A lot of these agencies are actually working together to ensure that Karnataka as a state is really truly ready for growth in different parts and different hubs. KSDC actually has, in fact, state level budget for training is 5,000 crores, just training. And that is to ensure that all these tier 2 and tier 3 are truly ready from a talent standpoint as well. Just thought I'll add that.
Great. So I think we summed it all so well, with even the very question also triggered some conclusions involving even where the policymakers have acted on. I must thank my panelists. It's been really a rich forum, putting together right from the people strategy, from sustainability and a distributed office space. Thank you. A lot to take away from here and points to ponder. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya.
Thank you, Priya.
Thank you.
A fascinating panel. I think all of us have been interested right across the room, and I wish we had a larger crowd to listen. It was really good. Yeah. To stay on and give our panel out some mementos as well. Thank you, Ms. Priya Thanawalla, to begin with. Who's that? Yeah. Oh, thank you to Abhijith Shashidhar. Thank you. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Ruchi, as well. Fascinating insights, actually, to tie to cities. It was really interesting to listen to. Ruchi. And thank you, Mr. Nair.